What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout, and I'm here today with my guide for ruining friendships, basically. Lose friends, the Toppo Loco build, no fun allowed. Yeah, this is the yellow Toppo build that I came up with. It's a prison deck. I think it's a pretty overlooked leader, and it's just a crazy build, similar to the Gogeta one, because Gogeta one was so good. You know, you guys really like the Gogeta one. I feel a bit more confident with bringing these crazy weird builds to you guys. So let's go and check it out. But before we begin this video, two very important things. First off, a huge shout out to our $2 patron, Ryan K. Ryan, thank you for buying us coffee. We're gonna need it now that Zenka Showdown is this week. It's gonna be crazy. And second, guys, we are on our way to 3,000 subs. Hit those like, subscribe, share buttons, help us grow, and maybe we can reach 3K before the latest spoiler season is over. That would be insane. Now, roll the video! As with all of our videos, let's start with a breakdown. So this guide is going to be a mix of slides and Deck Planet. There's a cool feature on Deck Planet that I can't wait to show you guys. So we're gonna go over the archetype breakdown, lines of play, various interactions. We will go in depth with the deck lists. That's what I'll be showing you on the Deck Planet itself, and we'll finish it off with a summary. You know, basically my thoughts, and that's it. Let's go. Let's start with the game plan. So what's the game plan? It is basically no fun allowed ever. Toppo the fun police, the god of fun police, basically. You hack your opponent's game plan by locking them out of the game completely. It's a prison deck. It's a prison deck style. It's very, very punishing to your opponent. It's not highly competitive, but it looks fun for locals, and I'm pretty sure that someone who pilots this deck much better than I do can probably do well at some bigger events, maybe, because this leader has a lot of potential. And you'll see just what crazy lock we can establish by turn 3. Okay guys, I'm here on Deck Planet, and before we begin, huge shout out to Kyle. Kyle is one of the guys who is developing the website. He reached out to me a few days ago, and we worked with some feedback on creator view and some implementation ideas, and he implemented my ideas perfectly. And what I'm gonna show you is going to make the entire presentation experience much better, both for us content creators and for you, the viewers. So Kyle, congratulations, man. This is phenomenal. So what I'm talking about, you cannot read this leader. You need me to read it to you, right? But now I just need to click on it. Here you go. You can actually read everything. You can follow what I'm saying perfectly. And we can do the same for individual cards. Let's start with the deck profile. Our leader is Toppo. When he attacks, you draw 1. He's a yellow leader. And his awakening condition is 4 lives or less, like usual. But also, if you have a unison with a specified cost of 2, you flip to energy to active mode, you draw lives until you have 6 left, and you flip him over. On the awaken side, he's the reason why we're playing this deck. So, auto when he attacks, you draw 1, but he has this permanent. If you have a yellow unison with a specified cost of 2 in play, when a player plays a battle card, this affects you as well. That player can't play battle cards for the turn. You're just locking everyone who plays battle cards. Now, keep in mind, the ruling is if your unison is removed at some point during the turn, the permanent is shut off. It also means that if your unison is removed and then another unison is played in the same turn, the permanent doesn't go online. You can find all of this here in the Q&A about the card. So yeah, he says, you play a battle card while you have a yellow unison with a specified cost 2 in play. If that unison leaves the unison area, can you play battle cards again? Yes, you can. It's the same with if you play another of cost 2, can you play another battle card? Yes, you can. So as long as the first unison is still in play, this permanent is triggered. Now let's go over the deck. First off, I've arranged it, I think, pretty well for presentation. So first off, we have 4 copies of Casserole. See? Pretty cool. So, Casserole the Slash Striker. This is our tutor, basically. And he's the only one out of 2 Universe 11 cards that we're actually playing in this deck. When you play him, you look at top 5 and you grab a yellow unison, one yellow unison with a specified cost of 2, not or less, just 2, or up to 1 yellow Universe 11 card with an energy cost of 4 or less. Add it to your hand and then shuffle your deck. And then he has an auto. When this card is switched to rest mode by one of your skills, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and switch it to rest mode. Not very important. We're just running 4 copies for consistency. This is also one of the cards that you want to see in your mulligan, maybe if you're missing some of the other key pieces. The other card, the main reason why I went with building this deck, is the newest card, Dispo Hyperspeed Strike. This one came out in Anniversary Box and no one actually talked about this. Because it was all Sin Gogeta preparations for finals and everything. This deck completely flew under the radar. But this card is insane. So, 20k barrier. Permanent. If this card is in rest mode, your opponent can't attack unisons with a specified cost of 2. So as long as this barrier 20k guy is in rest mode, your opponent can swing at your unisons. Keep in mind what the leader says, as long as you have a unison, your opponent can only play 1 battle card. Then he has an auto. When he's switched to rest mode by one of your skills, switch him to active mode and choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less in rest mode and KO it. So he's a removal as well. And finally, activate main limit 1 for 2 energy. If your leader is the Toppo leader and you have a unison with the specified cost of 2 in play, draw 1 and play this guy from your hand. Okay, so this is unison protection. Which unisons are we talking about now? We are talking about 4 copies of Vegeta Unison of Yuri. This unison is insane. First off, activate main once per turn. Choose this card or one of your battle cards and switch it to rest mode. Add a marker to this card. So you're using your activate main to rest the Dispo. And Dispo says when he switched to rest mode, he switches back to active mode and then he KOs something cost 5 or less in rest mode. This way you're basically attacking with the Dispo, KOing something, and then you can still have, your Dispo in rest mode for your opponent's turn so they can't attack your unison. The other important thing is -1, which shutdowns the majority of the decks in the game. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards with energy cost greater than their current energy until the end of their next turn. Don't underestimate this ability. This isn't only for against Gogeta. This shuts down so much. I think there's almost no deck right now that can actually fight this ability once you get it going, at least until turn 4. This shuts down so much. So, what you're doing here. Okay, I'm gonna go through the basic loop before we continue with the rest of the deck. So, turn 1, if you don't have one of these 2 in hand and you're looking to get them, these are your mulligans, so Dispo and Vegeta. Turn 1, you play Casserole. Okay, then you get the missing piece into your hand. Turn 2, you pay 2 energy to play Vegeta. Now you have a unison with a specified cost of 2. You use his -1 ability, that's fine, and then you awaken because Toppo wants you to have a unison with a cost of 2 in play, and then he readies 2 energy. You use those 2 energies to play Dispo. And then you draw 1 card, you use your Vegeta's activate main to switch Dispo into rest mode. He switches into active mode, KOs something if there's something in rest mode, and then he swings for 20k. This is your first turn, your second turn in the game. You have already established your lock, turn 2. Now you might be asking, Damien, what if I don't have Vegeta? We have 2 copies of SS Gogeta Dynamic Unison. So we might want to run 3, but I think like 6 is a good number because you can always get them with casserole if you don't start with them in your hand. This one actually says the following. Permanent. If all of your energy is in rest mode, your mono yellow leader gets plus 5k during your opponent's turn. Yeah, your Toppo is now 20k. This is very important to keep in mind because while Dispo prevents your opponent from attacking your unisons, your opponent can still attack your leader. And if you have Gogeta in play, you basically give a Senzubin to your leader. Your leader is 20k now. Auto once per turn, when your opponent activates an extra card, add a marker to this card, and +1 activate main, you may choose 2 yellow cards in your hand and discard them. If you do, draw 2 cards. This will be important later on. There's a reason why I picked this one, and it's specifically this +1 ability. Then we have -4. During your opponent's next charge phase, your opponent can only switch up to 2 energy to active mode. This really doesn't matter that much because 99% of the time we will be looking to get Vegeta instead of Gogeta. Then we have our last unison. I'm on the border with this one. SS2 Son Gohan Z Fighter. Everyone knows what this one does by now. The only reason why I'm thinking of running this is for extra pressure on turn 5 and turn 6. You can create some extra pressure with him because he costs 3. So what you can actually do is you can play him. You can use, let's say, your Vegeta's -1. You swing in with Vegeta and then you empower. You get your Gohan. Gohan KO something ignoring barrier, and then you -3 with Gohan's ability, and you -3, you give your leader plus 5k, Gohan gets triple attack, swings 3 times. If you're on turn 5 or 6, you still have 2 energy. So once you do this, you actually use your Vegeta again, so you pay your last energy to play your Vegeta again, and then you can just swing with it. And the big thing is that your lock is once again established because you have a 2-cost unison in play. Now let's go over some protection package. This is another card that you want to mulligan for. Vegeta Prideful Transformation. We haven't seen this card in forever, but what it actually does is blocker counter play, and when you play him, the battle card being played is played in rest mode. You can play him for free if you have a unison with 2 or more markers on it. So you're getting Vegeta, you're getting the Vegeta unison, and you're getting Dispo. These are the 3 cards that you want to see in your opening hand. Because after you establish your lock turn 2, your opponent will play their first battle card to try to get over it, and then for free you slam down the Vegeta, you switch to rest mode, your opponent cannot attack your unison, they must attack your Dispo, they cannot play any more battle cards because you just shut down the only one that they've played, and now you're really in an advantage position over your opponent. So Vegeta and Dispo, ideal mulligan. Then we have another option for after turn 2. If we have 1 energy opened, we can actually use Burgos. Burgos is like charismatic villain, but he says you need to play him for 1 energy, and he says when he's played, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 7 or less and switch it to rest mode. So, important thing to know what we are doing. Turn 2, when you get your Dispo out, you're not swinging at your opponent's face. If your opponent went second and got to attack you, you're clearing their board. You're not swinging for face. You want to end the turn where you've entered into a lock with no cards on your opponent's side of the field. Then it's much easier to control them, because the first thing that enters play, bam, Vegeta switch to rest mode, that's it. You can only swing with your leader now. Following turns, if you don't have Vegeta, first time something enters play, bam, Burgos. If it has deflect, doesn't matter. Just Burgos, switch to rest mode. This is also a good way to protect yourself against Smoke Dragon. Because if your opponent Smoke Dragons your Vegeta, or God forbid your Dispo, trust me, it's a bigger problem if they switch Dispo to rest mode. If they warp Dispo than Vegeta, you can answer that with Borgos. And then you can switch something else to rest mode. Now, when it comes to protecting your leader, because your opponent can still attack your leader, we have 4 copies of Robotic Riposte, and 3 copies of Vegito. I'm inclined to going free Robotic for Vegito or keeping it like this. The only reason is we don't play a lot of extra cards in this deck, and we want to charge some Z energy, but I think that this is an okay split. The main reason why we're running these is because our opponent can still swing at our leader. They can swing at our Unison, but they can still attack our leader. So we need to have a way to protect our leader, especially if our opponent manages to build up a board to a point where Vegeta and Borgos aren't enough. You can just answer their swings with Mecha Frieza or Vegito and just protect your Dispo, your Unison, your leader. You're locking them all over again. Then we have our big payoffs. Frieza Divine Transformation. You know what this guy does, but I'm bringing it up because this feature is super cool. So, we're playing this guy on turn 5. He basically KOs everything that is in rest mode. You can, like I said, you can use Frieza, you can use Vegito, you can lock your opponent's cards in rest mode. And then he also has the auto, which punishes your opponent for using counterattacks. He's the Flag Double Strike blocker. This is basically one of your win conditions on turn 5. We also have 3 copies of Sin Shenron, because Sin is the most balanced card in the game, and this is one of the reasons why we are playing the Vegito Unison, the Gogeta Unison instead of Pan, because Sin says if you have 7 or more cards in your energy, Z energy, battle area, and the drop, reduce its cost in your hand by 2. We want to have him out by turn 3 the latest, but we can only play a single battle card per turn. So what we're doing here is, if we start with Gogeta, we can actually fill our drop faster with +1, because we are discarding 2, we are drawing 2, we are charging Sin's permanent basically. We are speeding it up if we have Gogeta in play. We can't do the same with Vegeta, but with Gogeta it is possible. Regardless, even if you go with Vegeta, I would still go with 3 copies of this card, because this card is just insane. Then we have 1 Swift Retaliation Cooler, just because, you know, it's a counter. It might come in handy at some point, so let's play a single copy of it. We have our super combo, 4 copies of Krillin. We have 1 Black Smoke Dragon. This is mostly to get rid of like big barrier things, like big barrier blocker things. We're main decking 1 copy just because of that. Or maybe if you want to get rid of, I don't know, Gogeta's Unison or something, run 1 copy and then put 1 in the side deck. We also have our other overwhelm card, Secret ID. In case your opponent manages to build up a board of cards which don't have barrier, then you basically just play Secret ID, you take them away. There is a good argument that can be made that you can switch 1 Black Smoke out for another Secret ID, or switch something else out, but I like it this way. We're going to extra cards. You already know what this is. Power of the Super Saiyan. Of course, it's Power of the Super Saiyan. It's one of the best extra cards in the game. Then we're moving to 4 copies. 4 copies of Time Magic. We also have 3 copies of Frieza's Army Reinforcements, and those are all of the extra cards that we're running. So we're running only 8 extra cards, which, you know, is a reason why we might go with more Vegetos than Frieza's, because Vegito can be online faster. But, you know, you have to test it out and see. You basically need to test it out and see what works best for you. And finally, I never ever usually I never put secret rares, but I need to put this one in. It's Golden Cooler. It's Golden Cooler, guys. This is the best SCR for this deck, for a very simple reason. You're playing a very long game here. You can start locking your opponent out of the game on turn 2. Then it's easy to win turn 5. And Cooler's ability is extremely important here, because Cooler actually takes away your opponent's hand. Okay, the thing is, because your opponent can't really play a whole bunch of cards, they will draw their hand eventually, which creates a scenario where it is quite difficult to really fight them and combo through their combo through their defenses, because they have a massive hand. But you're drawing a lot, you're negating everything that they want to do. So eventually when you get to your Cooler, you can basically just flat out win the game on the spot with Cooler. So yeah, this is the main deck. And now for the next cool feature, I don't have a side deck, because side deck really depends on the meta and the matchups. Z deck. Yeah, now you can see the Z deck in the creator view. So for Z deck we have 3 copies. I'm playing 3 copies of SS3 Vegeta. You need some attackers in this deck. A lot of your deck is actually just locking your opponent, and you need some way to eventually win the game, which is where Vegeta is very useful. Plus he KOs something ignoring barrier. He's just extra barrier removal, which is always in hand. Now we also have 1 copy of Oolong, just because, 1 copy of Oolong. We have 2 copies of Evolved Defender. Now I really want to talk about this card. Guys, listen. There is a stronger lock that you can do on turn 3. Now, pay attention to this. On turn 2, when you lock your opponent, you play your Vegeta, you prevent your opponent from playing any more cards, basically. So you play Vegeta, you switch their card to rest mode. You have Dispo here, you have the Vegeta here, so your opponent can only swing with their leader now. So they attack with your leader, with their leader. Turn 3, you play this guy. You slam this guy down. His ability triggers. When he's played, choose one of your opponent's leaders, unisons, or battle cards in rest mode, and it can't attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Their leader is in rest mode, because that was the only card that they could attack with on turn 2. So you slam this guy down, you stun their leader. Next turn, no leader swings at you. The moment that they play something, you have Prideful Transformation, you have Borgos, you have Power of the Super Saiyan, you have Vegeta, you have Frieza. Vegeta won't be online because you spent energy for him. So the moment that they play something on their next turn, you once again shut it down, and they can't attack with their leader now. So their turn is just baby hatched. It's gone completely. You might want to go with without, let's say, Oolong, and go with 3 copies of this card, because this card is amazing. Plus it has a phenomenal ability, which says when your opponent plays a card, you may place 1 of your Z energy into its owner's drop. If you do, choose up to 1 of their battle cards or unisons, switch it to rest mode, and negate the skill for the turn. So every turn after you've played this guy, your opponent can play only a single battle card as long as you have a unison. The moment they play it, you shut it down with this guy. If your opponent has a unison, then you just switch their unison to rest mode. You switch it to rest mode, you find a different way to deal with the battle card. Maybe you just go Borgos for the battle card and this guy for unison. You can really lock out your opponent by doing this. And then finally 1 copy of Surmounting the Impossible. So yeah, guys, this is it. This is the friendship ruining Toppo Loco. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. Are you ready to ruin friendships? Are you ready to lose friends playing the Toppo Loco deck? Let me know in the comments. I'm very excited to see what you guys have to say. And also please let me know, would you like to see more of these non-meta, non-super competitive deck builds? Because I enjoy making them, but I'm not super confident when it comes to creating like these weird builds and sharing them. So, I would love to hear your feedback on them. and to see can we squeeze some more of them in the near future. So guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read all of your comments, I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And before you go, hit those share buttons, like, subscribe, help us grow. We are on our way to 3,000 subs. That's just insane. So guys, this has been Damien from The Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.